Good afternoon or morning, depending on your time zone. This is a webinar presented from K-Rise. Myself, I'm Doug Pulaski. I'm the sales manager here at K-Rise. And I have Katie with me.
Hi.
And Katie's going to be managing the chat requests, which please use that, or if you're having any difficulties. It's a virtual meeting, obviously. Just wanted to let you know we're a company in Aurora, Illinois, the suburbs of Chicago. And the webinar today is I want it to be mostly a live demonstration showing the integration with JD Edwards, showing the, in a live environment, the focus of this webinar, and it's focused on what I think are some of the main criteria for what constitutes a successful e-commerce site. And that's the content, especially as it pertains to e-commerce, which is all about selling products, which means it's all about the product catalog and the right integration against the item master and the marketing and possibly engineering servers, if you've got CAD drawings, logistics servers, UPS, FedEx, Old Dominion. Usability actually ties right to the content. Content in the catalog has to be easy to use. There's more than that. We'll review that in today's webinar. And the mobility, the smartphone angle, that has to be a consideration for anybody considering a web online catalog. Now I have a number of slides. I'm going to zoom through them relatively quick. I don't like stopping on a slide and reading the content. As somebody in the audience, I hate that, and as a presenter too. And we're going to send you the slides. So I'm going to minimize the time on each slide, but it does set the foundation for what we're going to be showing you. It's going to set the foundation for our company K-Rise, how we're positioned in the market, specifically how we're positioned with JD Edwards and Oracle. So we'll go to the second slide right now. And as I indicated, we're a company in Aurora. We're an Oracle Gold partner. Our products are OVI certified. That's important when you're working, especially the real-time type integration that we'll be reviewing against JD Edwards World or E1. And we have both customers, many different versions. For E1, we support the XE, which is B7333, back when I was working at JD Edwards as a pre-sales consultant in the year 2000. That's when they delivered that. So any version XE or greater, which pretty much I believe is most everybody. In fact, I think most everybody now on E1 is either on the 9s, a version on the 9s, or they're going to that. But our products are certified. We're a Quest Gold partner, so we do everything with Quest. In a couple of weeks, I'll be in Denver for the InFocus event. As a company, we have 3 practice areas in terms of the strategic solutions, the strategic JDE integrated solutions that we sell. And we're focused on the first one here, which is e-commerce and payments. Payments is a necessity, especially the B2C angle. If you want to go beyond B2B, and my definition of B2B is they're in your address book. They probably have AR terms. But even with that, many companies are asking for credit card payments functionality, e-check, both for the sales order creation process and collections from an invoice perspective, either back office with a finance or an accounting person, or online, customer online bill pay. I'll show that. We have other practice areas around like supplier portals, purchase requisition self-service, vendor onboarding, that's the second, and then we have HR self-service functionality for employees and managers. And then we have other companies doing many other things, and I'll get into that as I quickly go through the slide deck. We're proven. These logos here are all JDE companies, and it's just a sampling of our customer base. All of these companies consider their relationship with us strategic. Obviously, when you're talking customer facing, when you're talking a sales order channel to usually augment CSR, phone fax, EDI, POS. It's very, very strategic. This, again, is another way of showing our practice areas, but it's also showing a platform in an image, and that platform is called EasyProcess. We're different than most software companies out there. Most software companies come from a perspective of they're a Java house or .NET or C# or PHP type programming. EasyProcess is a development and enterprise development integration platform that we built our products on, and this is key right here. Our customers can have any level of development ownership. We can give you the keys if you want, whether it's 100%, which a lot of companies do, or partial. It prevents against vendor lock-in, gives you the flexibility to do things yourself and do custom extensions yourself if you want. And EasyProcess is a development platform. It's modern, true software-oriented architecture. That's why we're able to do things that I'm going to be showing you today, like a native app with full credit card functionality. I don't believe anybody else has that in the marketplace. But it's a visual modeling environment, so you start from services, JDE Edwards. We've integrated other ERPs like SAP, EBS, Microsoft or Dynamics AX. The logic is Visio drag and drop widgets. This is workflow down here. This we call the web part that then relates to the device, be it a smartphone or a desktop or a laptop. And so once again, beyond the main practice areas, we do get into a lot of other areas. Some people come to us with integration projects. And when one common thread with all of our products are, in fact, the real-time JDE Edwards integration. And I kind of chuckle when I hear other vendors talk about, oh, it's just the item crate or working against the 4211 or 42119 for sales order history. There really is a lot more involved than that. And as an example, we've got a customer, and I'll mention their name, Treasury Wine Estates, and for them, they need personalized catalogs working from the branch plant level. So for them, it's not just exposing item masters, it's the customer saying, okay, this is an order that's going to be coming from this ship from the branch plant, the DC as they think of it, being Sonoma or Napa or Italy or Australia. So the details of the integration can get very, very involved. Even from the perspective of the address book for B2B. B2B can work a lot of ways from online registration. We can work against like a default cash and carry where you're only worried about the credit card and the ship to against this default address book, or more companies like the idea of creating a new address book, defaulting credit terms to credit card and payment instrument appropriately, and actually creating a record, because that way the user can do tracking like you have on Amazon, and you just get better marketing, and they can come back and order subsequent orders. But there's a lot here. If you get into the order, it's not just order create. It's the order shipment, especially if you get into credit card. It's order change. You want to allow that, or maybe not. Maybe you want to make it a phone call. If you have any order, after you create the order on the portal, you got to pick up the phone, call our call center, CSRs. Other people want full order change, order credit. We have a complete RMA, RGA, working against the reason codes, transportation issue, product defect. We work against the quoting, so we can create a quote. Even from the item itself, up here, configured item. When, it's one thing to work against stock and kit items. Mercury Marine's a customer of ours. 95% of their dealers now place the order through the portal. And we're not a configurator company, but their outboard engines and such are C-type item masters. They're configured, so we're interactively working against the cross-segment editing, the assembly inclusion, the segments and the values in JD Edwards, whether it's the non-dynamic or the dynamic configurator. So there's a lot involved. And in fact, I don't have everything here. Alternate item number. So that's F4104, item master cross-reference. We can work against that. And here's another example with credit card. When you're dealing with credit card, you're dealing with two transactions. You're dealing with the credit card transaction and the JD Edwards sales order transaction, not only the crate, but the change and the shipment, just like Amazon doesn't bill your credit card until it ships, and things like the batch AR update. So as you can see, we're working against a lot of the JDE fields with a credit card sales order transaction when doing the batch AR update after the shipment. And once again, the platform is very, very flexible, and that's why from a user interface, we've got a native app component. And we could we're one of the few companies with robust, low-cost app functionality for JD Edwards. Third-party application. We have companies that ask to work with us from a toolset perspective. Maybe they've got Magento, they don't have the JDE connectivity, so that's why you're seeing here web services, SOAP, REST. We're doing most everything with REST APIs right now. It's years ago it was SOAP, but REST, just like JD Edwards, the EAS server, they're moving in that direction. But it's very, very modular. By the way, this is an example, Christie's. So the auction company, the Christie's, has a homegrown My Christie's. Not everybody goes to the Rockefeller Center or London or Hong Kong showrooms. So we are the components inside of My Christie's for enabling JD Edwards integration, paying an invoice with a credit card or e-check. So that's another example. This slide here really just highlighting what I consider the big drivers, why companies it's one of two things. Either you need to add an e-commerce sales order channel, a web customer self-service, or you need to upgrade. And it really falls under competitive pressure, especially the sales side of your business. They hear that the competition is doing it. They have 24/7 sales channel. You got customer demands. Every one of our customers, they segment their customer base. They've got power, web users that want things like self-service. The whole B2B buyer behavior. Customers and buyers are becoming younger, and which means they're more the millennials in terms of a percentage of the folks in the work marketplace, and they want smartphone and e-commerce and web functionality, and it's a huge growth area. It goes without saying. Some of the approaches, if you look at Gartner in the upper right, and we've talked to Gartner, but we're specialized. I'll get into that, but from what I call the big engine, you've got Oracle Commerce, which is Oracle buying ATG and Endeca. With Endeca is their faceted search engine. I'll touch on that. Very, very good, powerful solution. Oracle Commerce, SAP Hybris, an acquisition that occurred about 4 years ago. And of course, IBM WebSphere, the Commerce Server. You go with the Commerce Server Edition, and these solutions generally, they're for the retail sector. Most JD Edwards is very strong, and I've been with JD Edwards both as an employee and working in the JD Edwards marketplace now for 19 years straight. Wholesale, distribution, spirits companies, real estate, but not so much retail. And Walmart uses Oracle Commerce. Even if they gave the software for free, it's very, very expensive. The consultants, the hours, they take a tool set approach. They start out with a whiteboard, the home page, you create the integration adapters. It's a tool set approach. Ours is a best practice approach. We've built from best practices about 80 pages already that constitute, here's 7 different ways of finding items, the shopping cart, a multitude of different ways to go through a checkout process. For some companies, shipping is not a consideration. For some companies, shipping is a huge consideration with a user level involvement. So our best practices model, you can take our web pages, edit them, create new web pages. It's like a Lego approach, and it works much better for the vast majority. Some companies look at a homegrown, built-it approach, but then where we fit in, we're specialty. Even though we're integrated with SAP, my background, I target JD Edwards. I love the JD Edwards marketplace. I love JD Edwards ERP. I'm a bigot. I think it's the best ERP out there. So as a company, 90% of our focus is JD Edwards, and we just do things better. We're integration experts. Advanced pricing calls, we can do it better depending on your CMC setup. For another company, it might take as long as 1 second to retrieve one advanced pricing call. We have optimized ways of doing it, creating it. Our default is through the business functions, but as an example, if you wanted to use Z-File or even EDI, no problem. We've got that flexibility. We're doing an implementation right now, and they said they purposely put a lot of their sales order edits in the Z-File, so they wanted us to create through the Z-File. Most everybody else is, hey, use the P4210 or PowerForms version of what our CSRs are using. And why are we exclusive? And the focus of this webinar is on the catalog, and we use Solar. So I talked about Oracle Commerce using Endeca, which is very, very powerful. Solar is the other. It's a faceted search engine. So I'm going to educate everybody that's on this webinar what a faceted search engine means. We can break it out, and it's really pretty simple. We're also going to be talking about our exclusive in terms of mobility with a smartphone from a native app perspective in conjunction with a browser perspective. We can operate on Safari and Opera. Our open architecture, which is so important in e-commerce, because you're dealing with calls. We have some companies, even though most JD Edwards are Vertex or the JDE tax tables, Avalara, we've got a customer that came to us and said, hey, can you integrate? We use Taxware, and it's no problem for us. FedEx, UPS, our default method is working against your contract through web services with postal codes and weights. I'll show that. So a little bit about Solar. So Solar is open source. It was donated by CNET about 14 years ago, and it's a faceted search engine that's not only used by Best Buy and Sears, but even IBM WebSphere Commerce, even SAP Hybris. Look at over here, even Magento. They said, why reinvent the wheel when there's a great open source solution? And that's what Solar is. And I'll break down now in terms of defining the Solar product catalog. If you're going to buy an e-commerce solution, do not go with a non-dynamic, manually created hierarchical type of product catalog where you, like in Windows Explorer, have to create a product category, the subcategories, the whole parent-child. That's old school, and you're not going to look modern, and you're not going to give the user the flexibility. It's the old 90s drill down. It's very, very hard to maintain. The hierarchy logic, I suppose, can come from CAT codes or maybe your marketing, but generally speaking, there is a separation. And like I said, it's parent-child. It's this hierarchy. So what is faceted search? Think of business intelligence. Business intelligence, you do ETL, you create data warehouses, data marts, so that you can do the ad hoc reporting, whether it's sales or finance, against that mart. It's very, very similar. It's indexing. Solar is actually a server. So we index. We've taken Solar, and we're the only company that I know of that is fully integrated against CAT codes or Excels. And so the data import routine that we create is very, very robust, and we do what's called indexing, which means there is zero involvement for you to create a product catalog. There's zero involvement for you to have intelligent search box with auto-predict and auto-create. It's dynamic. It's Best Buy. If you type in TV, go to Best Buy if you want, type in TV, you're going to see attributes associated, and that's the facets. Product category attributes are the facets, and then the categories are underneath it, the values. But TV is going to deliver, size 55 to 65 inch. You type in appliance, you're going to get a completely different set. That menu is dynamic. It's automatically created, and that's what we're doing. And you can always tell a modern. This is one of our customers, Snyder Paper, Hickory, North Carolina, just a little ways west of Winston-Salem there, and you could see the what's called the facet count in the columns, but this is dynamic, and this is our admin. So we do this indexing against many different data sources. Usually it's marketing and the item masters. The data query import can be as elaborate as you want to get, and then you can position the attribute name, how it's positioned in the menu structure. So let's break down what faceted search is. So first off, let's start here. Things like, and this is the demo environment, I'm going to go into in just a second, but price range, type, subcategory, status, what you have control over, those are facets. Those are, it categorizes the results, and it's usually tied to product attributes. Underneath that, like the price points, the clearance, new, obsolete, those are constraints. And here it is right here. Clearance, new, obsolete are constraints, or they're facet values. And then, what's called the facet or the constraint count is the parenthesis. And most companies want to suppress 0. And the filtering up here, and it could show a lot of different ways. This is called the breadcrumbs. So users can refine down any way they want. They can expand up any way they want. And the search results are all based on how the user drills down. And like I said, a faceted search engine, by indexing it, it automatically creates that intelligent search box for you. I need to make this, but this is intelligent search, autocomplete, auto-predict, working against, whatever you want it to work against. Part numbers. I have a lot of people saying, hey, I've got hyphens in that. I want it to accurately search for a user perspective so they can find what they want. It does wild carding. So in summary, Facet is all about dynamic clustering of items. And then this Solar search engine that we use is so tied to the usability aspect because this is fun. I go to Best Buy and all these other sites, mostly retail sites, and I control how I want to drill down. You see this down here. There's no rigid selection hierarchy. Users can work with any constraints and any orders. There's no surprises. Users know the results before clicking. Values with 0 counts are normally removed. That's an option, a processing option. So that's a little bit about the search catalog. Here's a customer of ours, KMC Online, Connecticut, and they said, you know what, show cat code 1, our dealers will like it presented this way in tabs. So you can see that there. Just a little bit. We have a credit card engine, 4 use case scenarios inside of JD Edwards as far as e-commerce enabled, customer online bill pay. I'll show that. So our search engine, if you wanted to extend it beyond e-commerce to, managing invoice collections and sales orders, this is OVI certified. So Oracle and in fact, they've issued 2 KRISE System 99. So everything that we're doing, JD Edwards Oracle, when they're doing their builds, they're cognizant of our objects. There's absolutely no issue. This is a little example here of e-commerce invoice payment. I'm going to show that in the demo, so I'm quickly going by it. And then the app. So the native app is, I like native apps. They're superior to browsers. Whether the retail native apps that I use, or finding the gas buddy, finding the lowest gas, I like comparing the browser version to the app. And in all cases, apps are superior. They have a better GUI user interface. They work against like a location, the mapping software on the phone. So I'm going to demonstrate that, and just a little bit about, and this is not just app functionality, but our software can be deployed in the cloud, SaaS, it can be hosted, and with that, I'm going to get right into the demo. So with the demo, I'm going to log out. This is our demo environment hooked up to our JDE E1. So I talked about having these web pages, and so the home page, the landing page, most of this is HTML. We got a slider deck here. In our administration, you can easily work with it. You can change it. You can use any HTML editor. We have a content management system too to change the look and feel. It can be stark, or you can have a lot of information on the login page. So I'm logging in. You define where the user goes. Maybe you want to take them to a page here where they can quickly get to simple bulk order entry, or quick order, or check on their back ordered, or simply do a track where somebody might come in and you can enter purchase order or sales order number, and they want to do quick tracking. And they come in here and they see, I placed an order last week, I want to know the status, and they see that 2 have been shipped and 1's back ordered. It's a split line condition, and we've got the carrier order hyperlinks that they can go to. By the way, we also have emails. We have these proactive emails. So between the portal, which is somebody physically logging in and inquiring, and these proactive emails, many times the objective of the project is accomplished in a more complete manner with these proactive emails. Order change, order ship. You don't have to do anything. They're automatic. And I'll show examples of the emails. So with that, I can go back to the home page, or maybe once they log in, you want them to go right to the shopping, the catalog. This is the solar in our demo environment. And basically, the first thing I did is, on a lot of websites, and I'm assuming everybody's familiar with ordering on Amazon, you can view how you want the content to look. So I'm looking, and if you see the tool tip there, it says thumbnail view. A grid view is, I think of that as more traditional B2B. They don't need to see the image. Or there's list view. Or when we do a project together, you tell us, I just want to default to one view, be it thumbnail or grid, and I don't want to present these buttons. That's an example. So the flow I'm going through is really one scenario of a million different possibilities and how it can look. And I'll show very quickly examples of our customer sites. Let's look at solar. So right now I'm exposing 1,213 items, and I can control, how many I'm showing on the page, and I can control the sort. And by the way, sort is tied to JD Edwards too, because if you analyze sort on Amazon, it's usually by popularity. So once again, we're going into JD Edwards and we're looking at sales. We have one customer come back and they wanted to do sales times gross margin. They wanted their highest margin items. So these are little distinct touch points that really define how well an e-commerce site works for you, for the benefit of yourself, in terms of allowing the customer or the user to find items. But this is something traditional, is simply working from the facets here and saying, you know what, I want to drill down to, say, entire room controls, and from there, you can see what happened. That's that constraint, so I have one constraint, and I'm now down to 17 items. From there, I could click on this constraint here, and so I have two constraints, so I've refined down. I have the items here. If I want to look at it from the perspective of the grid, I can look at it from there. I can order right from an item detail page, like I'm doing right here. Excuse me, this isn't the item detail page, from the catalog results page. Or I could go right to the item detail page, like Amazon. Show me the books by, you know, a certain author. Maybe you want to drill down and read the specific reviews. So the item detail page, once again, we've got the page, our administration, full flexibility, the content management, the HTML editor we have or you want to use for the tabs, item level documentations, if you want to put that in there. So that's the example, like with engineering. If you wanted this to be, you know, a CAD drawing or not, and that's just a piece of our literature there. But this is all up to you. You could have multiple images. You've got a magnifying glass. So if I wanted to, as an example, on this particular example order here, so I'm adding 4 to the shopping cart. So I have a couple of items in the shopping cart. Amazon. Amazon has like different controls on there. So they have something here called departments. Or I could just click on department and I see it like that. So that's what we did. That's what Solar allows us to do. So we have a shop by catalog. So somebody can drill down here, or like Amazon, I could simply show it from this perspective. So we can deliver different controls to, this is something like that KMC Online with their tabs, only it's more like the Amazon control. So from this perspective, if somebody clicked on that, I've now, well, what happened was, because I already refined, so let's do a remove all. And then let's come in here, and I think I'll get more results. Oh, no, I only got one. So I only have one item with the word diva in it. And then from there, I have another attribute. So you get the idea. So let's go into the shopping cart. And oh, by the way, we got search too. So, you know, that's the intelligence that I was, and there's only one diva here. So that's an example of the auto predict, the auto complete. Going to the shopping cart. You can control how busy or stark you want the shopping cart to be. We literally have processing options that yes or no, do you want, and it's inside of our administration, do you want quick entry in the shopping cart? What's quick entry? It allows somebody to come in here and quickly add an item to the shopping cart. And that's what we're doing right here. Or they could use a search button and say type in dimmer, and they want to add that item and add that item into the shopping cart. So if you wanted that web part there, you could. Upload from Excel is exactly that. It could be a text file. It could be an Excel file. You choose the file. And do I have? Yeah, let's go ahead. And I chose a Doug.Excel, and it's a bad file. But you get the idea. We could do an upload from Excel or a text file. You have my list. My list, I can bring in my list, or I can save a list. So let's say somebody spent, it's their first time on your new e-commerce site, and they spent 30 minutes, and it's a big order. It's 30 line items. And they say to themselves, wow, this site has favorite lists. I'm going to save this list so that, because a lot of these items I order over and over again, so they can come in here and they can add it to an existing list. So we bring up the list functionality. And users can have any number of lists or you can deploy lists. So I can either add it to an existing list or I can create a new list name, and we'll call it July Webinar, and we'll call it Fave Items, my favorite items. So I create a submit, and you have successfully created a new list, which means somebody could log in. They can then, one mouse click, they can come down to their list. They can go to this list, like in this particular case that I just created. There are the 3 items. Notice the checkbox controls. So if I wanted to take this one with quantity 7 and select only add selected items to the cart, that's what I'm doing right here. And I think I did it twice. Usually I get feedback I might have. Yeah, I did do it twice. So you see the quantity is concatenated because I created a list in the shopping cart. So we're up to 21. So if I wanted to quickly edit this back to 14, I can simply do that like any shopping cart. And we could have buttons here, save the quote. So if you wanted the functionality of creating a non-committed order, we can save it to an SQ order type, which at any point in the future, say the customer says, yeah, the budget's approved, your customer that can then come in and convert it all or partially edited to a finalized sales order. Let's go ahead and create a final sales order. So I proceed to the checkout. So what we're seeing here is the checkout process. With a lot of websites, you go through a lot of different pages. We like the idea of presenting a consolidated checkout process. So once again, processing, well, the way that you set up the users, might they have alternate ship to? That would be shown here. So just like in JD Edwards' address book, you might have multiple ship tos, drop ship. So it's a processing option you can apply system-wide or at a company or at a user level. And this is the exact same thing as ship to override. So this is what a CSR would do with ship to override, and that's how the order would be processed. Let's put in a PO number there. So it's July webinar. What's the date today?
The 14th.
14th. 1, 2, 3. Okay. In the things like request date, additional instructions, that's going to be great, and you decide what you want. This is 100% soft-coded, this web page. So when we do an implementation, we have a discovery, requirements, and this is an example, would be processed as header level comments in JD Edwards. And here's, I mentioned our default. We could work from a table, so it could be approximate, like 10% between this and this. But what we're doing here is, it's a web service, so we go out against FedEx, UPS, Snyder Paper, a customer of ours. They came to us and they said, hey, we want to work against Old Dominion. So we created recently web services to Old Dominion freight lines in the same manner like this. Promotion codes. So once again, I can apply a promotion code. And the way we process it, it can be processed purely as a, and you see that discount is a ship to or an override on the price, or we can actually, if you got an adjustment schedule, we can process it against that adjustment schedule, depending on how you want it represented in the sales ledger. There's the items in the shopping cart, credit card or purchase order. So a lot of people, it's B2B, purchase order only, but let's show the credit card, because we're really talking 2 transactions now with credit card. So the first thing that we do, and this is my experience, I've sold hundreds of e-commerce, strategic e-commerce projects to JDE companies, some SAP companies, and when you're dealing with a credit card, and this was something I was firm on, let's go and create the order even before taking the credit card credentials. And that's what it says, the order's on hold. There's 25 reasons for denial, or the inability for the user to not process the credit card. And that's why we're saying here, the 6114, if I was to go to, and of course I'm logged out, I was to go to JDE, there might be a situation where the customer, it could be a network issue against the credit card processor. And so there's a fine there, and there's the PO, July 14th, 123. But you see that we're on credit hold in JD Edwards. So we always put it on hold. That's our philosophy. And then from the user perspective, if they have existing profiles, and by the way, for PCI, we've offloaded all PCI scope to the gateway. And unlike other software vendors, we have not taken a resell position with payment gateways. And for those of you out there that don't understand, the payment gateway is necessary and a card not present. You're not at a gas station terminal or a retail operation where you're inserting the chip or swiping the card. So you need a gateway. PayPal, CyberSource, ADN. A lot of our Canadian customers use Moneris, Bank of Montreal. So you need a gateway to work against your processor, which could be your bank or somebody else. And so what you're seeing here is the tokens. We store the profile, and then when we create a card, and we specifically brought it up here as a new page to make it more vivid. It could be on the same page. It could be, iframe inside the existing page. But what we're seeing here, and this could be branded so it looks exactly like, but if I go to View Frame Source, do you see this? This is CyberSource. CyberSource owns Authorize.net too. CyberSource is owned by Visa. So the point that I'm making with our new credit card, and Oracle liked this when they did the validation on our software, is that what PCI talks about with processing and transmit and storage, 100% at the gateway. So you have zero PCI scope on your local area network. And this right here, the token that we get back to use for subsequent or the credit, that's not CHD. That's not what PCI calls cardholder data. So you're protected. So as an example here, if I wanted to apply this amount, and I do the authorized payment, so authorization success. So there we go. Now, this is an example of us being in the middleware, middleware between the payment gateway processor. This is the transaction ID. It was accepted. If I come back here to JD Edwards and do a find, the hold code is removed, and it moves on its merry way through your sales order activity rules, whether it's create a pick slip or whatever that might be. Coming back here to the demo, I do want to go into my email server and show that when I created this order in JD Edwards using just basic SMTP, so we don't care what your email server is, we populate a template. This is called the order acknowledgement email. So the order acknowledgement, soft-coded, you tell us what to pull out of JD Edwards from the header. So as soon as that order is created, we create this order acknowledgement email. There's the line item details. And like I said, we have many other emails. So an example of this email right here, it's a ship confirmation. So you tell us when to send this. And usually ship confirmation, it's tied to the invoice. So you do the sales update, at sales update or invoice. It doesn't matter. We could do it off of a status code, a UBE. These are just proactive emails, and you see, in a ship confirmation, we have that order hyperlink tracking information. And all of this, by the way, is available on our native app that I'm going to show. So very quickly, I reviewed the catalog. I reviewed the My List. We work against order templates. We can do save cards. We can do find and track orders. So I showed that. I came in, I checked on an order, and notice we're showing all orders, all of our screens. This is the filtering up on top here. So if I wanted to go down to the 6114 order that I just created, I can filter, and there's that order, and there's the order details, pulling it from JD Edwards. I can come back here, and I could remove that, and it could be a compound filter. So if you wanted to do it by, say, order status tied to a date range, so I'm opening it up. What the user sees with order details depends on, many times, the order status. So as an example, it's fulfilled, so we do have tracking information. Once again, this is the third time I'm showing that. Order, a reorder. So this is another way of ordering. I showed search, import from Excel, order from order from prior order. If I look at the ship status, now we got the return functionality. So an RMA, an RGA type of process. We've got a default way of doing it, and this is workflow. So this is the user requesting a return. They're not actually going to do it. We can pull from the reason codes inside of JD Edwards, but this is, in all likelihood, unless you wanted them to update it directly, a request that would go to an employee for RMA type process. And we looked at close orders here. So let's bring up the order detail on a closed order. So with this, not only, and by the way, this page, you tell us, once again, the format of the header, what line items in our admin. This is all selectable very, very easily. Even custom tables, if you've got information in F55, F56 that you want to pull in, absolutely. So this is all manageable. Order level documents. So this is an example. Some of our customers, they like order level documents, and we can create the automatic relationship where you have order level documents. I forget how they do it. We create a binary code that creates the path. So these documents are automatically created in your JD Edwards from our portal through that path update. But notice the invoice details. So if I want, and I have multiple invoices tied to multiple ships against that sales order, I'd be showing that. Now, if we contrast that with open invoices here, this is the customer going directly into open invoices. Once again, the filtering up here, if I wanted to select a couple of invoices, so it's not only open invoice inquiry, and somebody can do an inquiry. There's a lot of different ways of doing it. This is auto PDF create. So what we're doing here is simple code that says work against these fields in JD Edwards and do an auto PDF create. Most companies, they have create form, Optio, some document management. So whether it's the invoice number or a print like that, or we can give both. So here's an example of selecting a couple of invoices for customer online bill pay. And there's the two invoices, and there's the payments. Now, I could, like I said, I've been around the block with JD Edwards companies and implementations, and if I had a nickel for every time a CFO said, we don't want to allow customers to pay our invoices, our AR invoices with credit card because of margin considerations. I've heard them say they'll take every advantage of the 30 or 45 days up to the last day. They pay it. They get the airline points or the 2% cash back, and they get another 30 days, and then you get a 2% or whatever ding on your net margins. So you can limit this to e-check, and that's why e-check is so important. A lot of people or select customers. You can say these customers, I'm going to allow online bill pay with both credit card and e-check. So an example here is, paying this with e-check. So I do the authorized payment. I could do a split payment across multiple cards. And the authorization was success. And so this was e-check, which is the cost to you is a fraction of what credit card fees are. So just a little bit on that. Check price and availability. Some companies want us to show price and availability, across the DCs, across the branch plants. Most people don't want that. They want price and availability tied to the default customer master. So that's what we do here. Tied to the default customer master, the 1041 that you're seeing there. And there's the price. And once again, net price, we're not showing it right here, but that would be advanced pricing. Back order summary, it's just a SQL statement that says go out and across all of the orders, do back order. And by the way, if you want to allow your users to take back orders and request, once again, workflow, request a cancellation on that item. That's what I did just now. Contact form, account summary. We can work against any finance, AR field. So for account summary, if you just wanted the user to quickly see what's my balance, credit available, or something more detailed, that's there. Unapplied cash. We can even, if you want unapplied cash, we can say a customer going in. Okay, so I proceed, and they want to pay it with, with a credit card, and they want to pay $222. So I process that, and this is unapplied cash, which means, and by the way, our payment pad is universal. That's what you're seeing there a second ago. But if I come in here to paid invoices, this is another query. Show me my payments. And so I did a couple of online bill pay there, and that's the $40 and the $20. I did those two. And you can see what we're doing in the background. We're going out, we're doing batch AR update. We created the batch number. I can go into JD Edwards and show this if you wanted, the payment ID, RU for unapplied cash. You've got to take it from here and apply it internally. But that's simply receipts, and however you want it to look. Once again, it's soft coded. And then same thing with statements. So I have the statements.
Hold on, we got one question here.
Okay.
They want to know if you can use this as a call center ordering taking, and can customers be entered on the fly?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So in an hour, I can only show so much. So I'm going to address that question. Every one of our customers use this for employees. So let's go in with an employee login right here. And that would be Chester Rakes. So an employee, unlike a customer where their login ties directly to an address book sold and or shipped, an employee is different. An employee has to come in here, and we can do any type of, search against the address book, phone address, come in here. It could be limited. Maybe a salesperson logs in, and it's a pull-down list of their 25 accounts. But basically what an employee does is they do an impersonate. We call select on behalf of. So you are, this employee now, logged in as an employee user ID, but they're now working against ABC 4242, and at this point, everything that I showed is applicable in terms of creating an order. As a matter of fact, because it's a different user type, we could do things like the shopping cart for an end customer. You're never going to make the price an edit box, but maybe for an employee in the shopping cart, you want it to be an edit box. You want them to do a price override. So employee usage is huge, like I said. Using our tool as an intranet, and also, and let me do this right now. If not, I'll show some screenshots here, what I wanted to show with the app. was that we have a native app. Let me try to bring it up. But the same thing, employees and smartphones, it's huge. And I was going to show that same functionality. Okay, frustrating. Okay, so but we have a native app. In the follow-up email, I've got an 11-minute video on our native app. I'll include that on the thank you email with the recording. Well, like I said, within an hour, I'm not able to cover everything. Hopefully, though, the subject of this webinar dealt with the product catalog and using a faceted search engine. I hope everybody is going away now better understanding the value of a faceted search engine like Solar or even Oracle Commerce, Endeca, and why all modern e-commerce sites are based on faceted search, how it can make the usability, the other aspects of usability tied to the menus that I showed and how they're structured, and the nuances, like I mentioned before, tying possibly the catalog that's shown to a ship to. We can also create personalized catalogs tied to a value and a customer master category code. So with that, everybody, thank you very much. We'll be sending you the recording. I apologize for not showing the native app, and I will include an 11-minute video of the native app, and we can arrange a live demonstration. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.